mother, it's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just the
duo
of feathery brethren, weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Both and Zach kicking it cooler than
two.
Penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Both and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping.
We are going to rip out the hearts of other podcasts. We are going to bite off their eyeballs. We're going to start every segment watching the scene from The Last of the Mohicans where the guy takes a bite out of the other guy's heart. We may not be good, but we're going to be nasty. We're going to reflect the blue-collar nature of this city. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends. Jeez. Excuse me. Starting just like the Eagles in this game. Welcome to Birds with Friends. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn. Here at 9:07 p.m. on a Sunday evening after the Eagles with a chance to clinch and lock up the number one seed against the lowly New Orleans Saints, a chance to ensure extra rest for their best players, a chance to improve their 2023 draft pick, the one they own from the Saints, a chance to party in Philadelphia on New Year's Eve, and they lay an absolute stinker, as if they had been celebrating too hard last night or looking forward to Darius Slay's birthday party tonight. Instead, the Eagles show up and get run over on defense in the first half. And despite turning things around on defense, the offense, boy, were they terrible. It is a 20-10 loss. The offense goes 3 and out on their first 4 possessions. They have a chance down 3 points in the fourth quarter to go and win the game, despite having been outplayed all game long. And Gardner Minshew throws a pick 6 to ice the game away. It is a disappointing, ugly loss for the Eagles. Their worst loss of the season by any measure. And Zach, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You said that you started the show just like the Eagles. If that were true, then you would have just done 3 minutes and gone out, right? Because it would have been 3 and out.
Pretty good. Well, we're at 2:30 right now. We could pull it. We could pull the plug.
This was a bad offensive performance. As I wrote about on The Athletic, a story is coming out any minute. This really shows you the value of Jalen Hurts. Not to say that Jalen Hurts solves all problems, but I think this game looks different if Jalen Hurts is your starting quarterback. And it's been 3 consecutive weeks of like uninspiring football. Now, last week, I thought they played well besides the turnovers. They were inconsistent against the Bears. The defense was the problem last week. The offense is the problem this week. And they need to get this figured out. They still have everything they could want in front of them. They have a pristine opportunity to clinch the division next Sunday against the Giants. I'm assuming the Giants, who are in the playoffs, locked in, will rest some of their starters, similar to what the Eagles did last year in Week 18. Then again, it's the New York Football Giants, and that's the Tom Coughlin playing against the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, in Week 17 that year. So you never know.
Classy organization that celebrates us with snow angels and right next to an injured quarterback.
But it was as Jason Kelsey said tonight, I can give 2 bleeps, or beeps, however you want to put it. He didn't say that. I'm just censoring it because we're a family show about the number 1 seed. He said they have things they need to clean up, and there's things he needs to clean up. That's so. I think these next few days are going to be important for the Eagles, and I'll round this off by saying it also seems like there's a good chance Jalen Hurts could be back for that season finale, and he, if he's cleared, he'll play. It's just a matter of him being cleared. Nick Sirianni said he was getting close, and so also something to importantly monitor this week.
Yeah, I'm not going to let the defense completely off the hook in this game, especially the way they started. But I think it's fair to say that the offense deserves the lion's share of the blame, considering how terrible they were. And Gardner Minshew was go ahead.
The defense had a real bad drive to open the game, like really bad drive.
I mean, Andy Dalton started the game 14 for 14.
Yeah. And then they had a bad then they allowed a big play on the third down that they could not. But otherwise, I mean, they forced a punt every drive in the second half. They had the interception at the
Yeah,
end
they
of
had
the
a very
first
good
half.
second half.
So they allowed the Saints into the end zone one time. You hold a team to 13 points, which is what the defense did. You should win that game. That's a good, like, holding
Yeah,
a
but
team.
we can
to
agree
13
they had a
points.
bad first half. They started the game very flat, and
Yeah,
that
a
played,
very
I mean,
bad first. The first drive was inexcusable. But
yeah, I
I
mean, the
think the
offense
second
went
quarter was
3 and out
fine.
on their first possession, but they still, like, they only had the ball for a minute because the Saints were moving the ball and like following the Commanders game script at will. They made some adjustments, and credit to the adjustments, but we can't ignore the fact that they like started the game really terribly.
Oh, I agree. That first drive was really bad. I agree.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can get to that, but no doubt that the offense deserves the lion's share of the blame here. Now, Zach, I'm going to lean a little bit more on you in this game because you were in the press box. I was working on a different story that will come out later this week, so I was
Can't
not
wait.
charting, and there will be no day after tomorrow. But we'll get to that. But Gardner Minshew, I mean, he finishes 18 of 34 or 18 of 32 for 274 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, which is about as misleading a stat line as you could possibly get. He was really bad in this game. He was super jittery in the pocket, it looked like to me. This was the highest rate of sacks the Eagles have given up this season, and the offensive line was missing Lane Johnson, and I didn't think they had a very good game. They had a bunch of false starts too, but I think that Gardner Minshew was the main culprit for those sacks. He was feeling the rush when he didn't need to, and then he was easy to go down when the rush did come. Wasn't getting rid of the ball, and even when he did get rid of the ball, he was scattershot. And even aside from the really ugly pick six, which you can tell me what A.J. Brown said after the game, but Gardner Minshew, a week after playing pretty well against the Cowboys, was, I mean, if you're going to pick one reason they lost today, I think it was Gardner Minshew.
Yes, yeah, that's what jumped out to me was Minshew was simply not good enough. They needed more from him. This was a winnable game. This was a game that there were opportunities that they missed, and I thought you did a good job describing the jitterness with which he played. They time to sack him was kind of middle of the pack this year for the Eagles. Okay. I think there were 6 games where it was longer, and I will pull that up when you're speaking. But I agree, just from the eye test, that he really didn't have good pocket presence. He was holding the ball longer than he had to. Last week, there seemed to be a concerted effort to get rid of the ball quickly. 0 sacks last week. You saw almost the opposite today. Even times when he threw the ball, he was misfiring, underthrowing, and yeah, I think, to use Jalen Hurts' expression, they left money on the table. I was not as bothered as I think the fan base was by the lack of running plays overall. I thought they could attack the Saints through the air in this game. We talked about that actually on the Friday pod, but they didn't do enough to get the ball to their main targets in the first half. That was part of the reason why they went 3 and out. Sacks contributed to it. You saw 2 checkdowns to Kenny Gainwell. But they could have run the ball more, and they were effective when they did run the ball. They were 4+ yards per carry. I do think these past 2 weeks shows you how important Jalen Hurts is in the running game. Having that +1, even having his ability to run. I saw Professor Selman put a good stat out last night when I was referencing the Eagles Saints game from last season. We had, I shouldn't say we had, I saw Denise tracked the amount of zone reads that they had there. That was a huge part of their running game, and you don't really have that threat with Minshew. So that contributed to it. But I think they could have found Devontae, AJ, and Dallas Goedert more effectively, and especially in the first half. Devontae was having his way. AJ Brown, you saw him downfield have that long touchdown, and they continue needing to target Goedert more.
Yeah, I think that you said that this game was a glaring example of, the absence of Jalen Hurts and what that means. I think it's maybe underselling it to focus on what they missed with Jalen in the running game, because it's the passing game too that is, and maybe even more so. Like there is, we talk about the jitteriness of Gardner Minshew. There is a calm, and this the calming presence of Jalen Hurts that is missing in the offense with Gardner Minshew there, and he's not there. I think that in a game like this where things were snowballing, we've talked about how Jalen Hurts is turning us into believers in some of this stuff that we were skeptical about. I think Jalen Hurts's aura was missing in this game. A game where he is able to drag people along with him when it looks like things are snowballing. I think obviously I think they would win this game with Jalen Hurts at quarterback for many reasons, but that would be one of them. But just in the passing game, that pick six to AJ Brown, where Minshew isn't catching AJ Brown's eyes before the snap and then sort of throws it without looking. That doesn't happen. I think that the Jalen Hurts description as a quarterback who is a running back first and maybe isn't the smartest guy has been proven so wrong over the course of this season. I think his pre-snap and his knowledge of the offense was significantly missing in this game. I don't know. I mean, and so the big picture here is, okay, how worried should you be? Are you DEFCON 1 is actually the worst DEFCON, right? It gets higher for how gets lower for how bad it is.
Yeah,
it's a reverse thing, I think.
Okay. So
anyway, how many turkeys should you be throwing over the roof because you're panicking? The question is it's all about Jalen Hurts' health, right?
Yeah.
And if Jalen Hurts is fine, I think this team is still very much a reasonable Super Bowl contender and probably the NFC favorite. If Jalen Hurts is just 70% of himself, then I don't think this team is the best team in the NFC anymore. And they continue losing players. We saw the Josh Sweat injury, which was pretty scary early on in this game. It sounds like he's going to be okay, released from the hospital tonight, and all of his extremities are moving. So that's good news. But as they continue to lose players, if they can't get their best player back at close to 100%, then this season that was so amazing for the first 14 weeks has a chance to really end on a sour note.
Yes, and that's why Hurts, his status this year, this status this week is so important to monitor, not just when he plays, but how he plays, right? Like you said, what's he look like when he does return? There were two plays in the fourth quarter tonight that I think particularly illustrated Hurts' absence. And you can point to a lot of plays throughout the game, but to me, the pick six and the quarterback sneak, two critical plays in the fourth quarter. Okay, we'll start with the quarterback sneak first. That was fourth and inches at the 50-yard line.
Down 3 points,
50-yard line. Yeah, down 3 points. Right thing to keep your offense on the field. Not saying the Eagles are perfect in that situation, but Jalen Hurts is 9 of 10 this year on runs on 4th and 1 or fewer, right? And Minshew just did not get any push. And I asked the principal characters about that play. I asked Minshew, I asked Sirianni, I asked Kelsey, and Minshew, he said he wishes he could get 6 more inches. He didn't know what more he could do there. Sirianni, Kelsey said they have to go back and look at it on tape. Kelsey said that he was waiting for that push to come, and he thought watching it on TV that the backers did a good job kind of pushing the defensive tackles, and that made a difference on the play. But Jalen Hurts is really good at this, number one, and he's very strong. We all know he power lifts 600 pounds, right? So he's a strong dude, and that that was a critical play there. Minshew, I know he had the touchdown last week on the sneak, but that was not good enough, and the Eagles needed that. And then the pick six before the play.
Still just down 3 after a really nice defensive stand following the 4th down turnover.
A.J. Brown said after the game that he was like alerting Minshew not to throw that, basically, right? And that Minshew didn't see him. And Marshawn Lattimore read it the entire time. And
A.J. Brown like dogged it on the route.
I don't think he thought the ball. I think he was trying to tell Minshew not to throw that because of where Lattimore was.
That's no excuse to just dog it.
But it was a bad pick, and Minshew now has 3 interceptions in 2 games. You can say it's not AJ's fault, or you can say it's AJ's fault. You can say it's Quez's fault.
You're muted again, Zach. Your mic.
Here, can you hear me now, or is it through my AirPods?
Through your AirPods.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Jalen Hurts has 5 interceptions in 14 games this year. He does not have a game, or he does not have back-to-back games with interceptions all season. Okay? So you could say this one's on the receiver and this one should have been called, however you want to do it. That's an interception that can't be thrown in that spot. And it was a critical error that Jalen Hurts simply hasn't made this season.
Yeah, I mean it's the whole Jalen Hurts package that was missing in this game. As you said, you're missing his element in the running game. You're missing his sneaks. You're missing his ability to protect the ball. You're missing his ability to make the offense right when the play call is wrong. Like his extemporaneous stuff. Yeah, I mean that's there's no doubt that was a huge difference in this game. And Gardner Minshew was, I think he had a chance if he played well in this game after last week to stake a claim as a guy who could compete for a starting job as a free agent. That's not going to be the case anymore. And Zach.
I'm going to need to get a new cord here. And okay, so bear with me. I apologize this is occurring. We talked about third downs. Third downs are so important, okay? The Eagles were 3 of 12 tonight on third downs, or today, I should say. That factors in, of course, to the 3 and outs. They were 47.9% going into this game. So are they different with Hurts out there? I certainly think so. I think they're a more efficient team with Hurts on third downs. His legs can buy you some of those third downs. Now there were penalties there that backed them up. They had some third and difficulties, if you will, third and longs. But still, Jalen Hurts makes, in my view, and sounds like in your view, a tangible difference in the outcome of this game.
Yeah, and I don't even I don't know how you could possibly argue otherwise. I think it was a good, if you're Jalen Hurts' agent, it was probably a good day.
Yeah. If you're talking about his MVP candidacy, this is a good day. If you're to use the Bo rationale here, and I'm not throwing you under the bus. This is a conversation we've had where if you put Mahomes on the Eagles, what would their record be? If you put Hurts on the Chiefs, what would their record be? Right? This puts all the system talk, if you will, out of the window. The engine that makes them go is Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts does benefit from playing with these weapons, but what makes this team go is having Jalen Hurts out there.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right, Zach, why don't we take a little break? We'll come back. We'll talk about whether we think Hurts is going to play next week. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about some other big picture stuff, and we'll see if we can get your mic sorted out.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
It's the holidays. Holidays can be tough for everybody. And so whether you are navigating any of life's challenges that can make you feel unsure, or dealing with a career change, family issues, a new relationship, becoming a parent, anything, just the grind, the unceasing monotony and pressure of everyday life, sometimes you need somebody to talk to. Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in.
As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Those are not vet therapists. These are not therapists for your pet. These are vetted. So just keep that in mind. Although you probably could talk about your pet issues. I think that would be fine. And it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It could not be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/BWF. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BWF. If your New Year's goals are to manage your budget better and save a little cash money, well, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they forgot about, like that streaming service you bought to watch just one show, or that free trial that you never even used. I know that this is definitely the case for me. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button, which is good because there are a couple ones I've had in the past that are notoriously difficult to cancel. There's a certain newspaper that falls along those lines. We'll save that for later. But that's okay. All you got to do is find the subscription you don't want, press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of it for you. They do the whole thing. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/birds. That's rocketmoney.com/birds. rocketmoney.com/birds. All right, back on Birds with Friends. Marissa, how are you?
I'm doing good. I thought today was going to be a celebratory pod, so I'm a little disappointed about that. But, week 18, ready for it. So,
How was your New Year's last night?
It was good. Very uneventful. The football games were awesome. That was really fun. We made steak. So yeah, it was a nice night home. Nice. How about you guys? Yeah.
What kind of steak did you make?
Filet, and it was quite an event.
Fancy.
Yeah, it was quite an event. I burned my finger. Michael cut his finger.
Oh,
you
okay.
We're both good. Yeah, just minor injuries. We're not really the best chefs,
Jeez.
but trying to cook more heading into
just as he's ready to come off IR.
Yeah, it was like a baby cut, but every little thing that happens to Michael is a lot more. I do the same thing.
This is my livelihood, my hands.
Yeah,
this is what this is how I make a living.
Yes, baby cut yet, he had to have 5 Band-Aids and I burned my whole thumb and I was totally fine. But it's like the man flu
under cold water.
Yes, yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's good. It's good. But the food was good. So yeah.
What'd you have on the side? Give us the whole...
We made scalloped potatoes, which was very good
nice.
too. Yes, yeah. We got delayed. We didn't make the green beans got left behind because the meal took too long. Yeah. But we did it. We enjoyed the game. So yeah, it was a nice night. How about you guys?
Bo and I were both at Disney on Ice yesterday.
Yes.
Oh,
well, that was not at New Year's, but yeah, at 10
was
a.m.
on New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Did your kids go too?
Morning.
That was a good one, I guess.
Yeah, Zach and I went together. We had a date.
That'd be funny, actually.
Yeah, the kids had a great time.
That's awesome.
Jane is still talking about how she wants to go to a show again with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
Yes.
Who was their favorite?
It was in
for
Encanto
Jane.
and
It was Mickey and Minnie. But yes, so they have the main characters come out and introduce the scene. And they did Frozen and Encanto. For Casey, it was the Encanto part.
That's very cute.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah, Sloan was singing the Frozen songs, and Reed just liked the whole thing. So it was fun being there. It was good. It was a good time with the kids. And then,
did you guys see each other there?
We did not. We were texting there though.
We were in the nosebleeds. Zach was down in the front row.
I was lamenting the price of cotton candy there. So it's hard to tell.
And all the gadgets, like all the objects, right? Like all the little toys they have.
Yeah, that was the good part about being up top, is that they didn't have as many concessions open, so I didn't have to say no that much. Also, Casey was very locked in. He didn't want to.
Yeah, I said no. So and then had a nice time with the family last night, and then watched 2 great college football games. Was really hoping to see Michigan, Georgia. It doesn't have quite
or Michigan, Ohio State. That would have been.
Yeah, that would have had some juice too.
Yeah. But I'm happy for TCU though, and Max Duggan. I think that's a cool story. So
there you go. Max Duggan gets the last laugh.
Yeah.
And
I guess we'll find out.
Well, the fact that he's made it this far, and then
the last laugh will happen in the last game.
True.
I hope it's Georgia, a game like those games were, because that was fun.
I was texting Birds with Friends host, our co-host or guest host, EJ Smith, late last night about Stetson Bennett. I need to say I was wrong, man, because I was very critical of Stetson Bennett, and even though he goes on and wins the national title, he was awesome in that fourth quarter. And that go-ahead drive, he made money throws. I need to give him credit, even though
and his raw emotion at the end, like I love that. Yeah. That's my favorite stuff.
So I saw the stat from Ben Standig, our Commanders reporter, Jake Fromm, who's the former Georgia quarterback, who seemed like he was at Georgia forever, right? Like was a 4-year starter there. Bo would have probably considered him old coming out of the draft. He's been in the NFL now for what, 2-3 years, thereabouts. Stetson Bennett is older than Jake Fromm.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
I think Dane has, now don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Dane has said that he thinks Stetson Bennett will be on an NFL roster or practice squad this year. Yeah. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he has said that on an episode of Prospects for Pros. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Not saying he's going to be a starter, but
sure.
He will have an opportunity. Yeah. And CJ Stroud improved his draft stock, I feel like.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like drastically, but
it was a shame Marvin Harrison got hurt there. So because he was balling. Did you watch those games, Bo?
We had the TCU game on at our friend's house where we had a little get together with the kids. And the other game I turned on with about a minute left and watched the end of the Georgia drive and then the missed kick.
Did you change to the ball dropping, or did you watch the ball go left?
No, I watched the ball.
Okay.
We were watching your show, Fleischman's in Trouble.
Oh, okay. Early thoughts?
Oh, I mean, we're in like episode 6. We were watching too, but that doesn't.
Okay.
I was just saying it's a depressing show.
Well, Michael asked what show that was after Sheil and Zach were talking about it. I said, Bo said it's depressing. We can't watch it.
Yeah, I don't think you need to like run out and watch it.
Okay.
Like it's a good show, but I'm not like. There are other shows that I would evangelize much sooner than that.
If you okay, I appreciate storytelling and character development and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like there are other shows with that too.
Fair enough.
It's a good show. It's not a great show, I think. That's all.
I got you. Okay.
It passes the time.
Okay.
You feel differently?
Well, I enjoyed it, but we really don't need to go down that rabbit hole on an Eagles podcast.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What's your expectation for Jalen Hurts, Zach? And what did Nick Sirianni say about that after the game?
So Nick Sirianni said that Hurts was close, that it makes no sense to declare this one way or the other right now. There's stuff that they have to go through this week, but if Hurts is cleared, he'll play. And then there was a follow-up. So if he's medically cleared, he'll play. And Nick said yes. So it certainly sounds like it's going in that direction. The fact that he returned to practice this week, he was on a limited basis. Minshew took all the first team snaps this week, But it's especially we should find out tonight if this game's on Saturday or Sunday. I'm assuming it's on Sunday.
We're probably gonna find out at halftime of this game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tonight they said.
Okay. So I'm assuming the Eagles game's going to be on Sunday, would give Jalen a full practice week. Not to say that a Saturday game would dramatically change it one way or the other, but it's a more condensed practice week otherwise.
I really hope it's not Saturday night. Oof.
Yeah, so I'm thinking for the competitive spirit of the NFL, like if the game's Saturday night and the Eagles won that game, then San Francisco and Dallas wouldn't have they'd only be playing for seed, I guess, right? So, but
this is the thing that they've painted themselves into. There's a shortage of games that matter, but also don't affect how much other games matter.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's beyond my pay grade.
This is a big. This is a pet issue for Deniz. He complains about it a lot. I think rightfully so, and I think he has the right solution. The NFL should have AFC on Saturday, NFC games on Sunday, and then you flip flop. You flip flop every year. That way, you would avoid this situation.
And do you do it World Cup style, where they all play at the same time?
I don't think you have to do that, but I think, you could have one. You could still have one primetime game each night. I think, but for the most part,
baseball does that now, right? Baseball plays every game at like the same time.
Do they on the last day of the season?
I think they changed that a few years ago. Now I'm second guessing myself, but pretty sure for that reason.
Yeah.
If someone in the chat knows, let us know.
We'll see. All right, Zach. What else from before we get to the defense? What else from Sirianni, from Gardner Minshew, and like what was the general mood in the locker room?
Yeah. So the mood was pretty pissed off, right? I mean, they I know, as you would say, better be pissed off than pissed on. They felt like they squandered an opportunity here, and there was a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. There was a play that I saw mentioned in the chat, and it was a big play in the game. It was the Kenny Gainwell touchdown that was called back by the Landon Dickerson hold.
Yeah, we should talk about this.
Yeah,
terrible call.
It was a bad call. Now, as you watch it back, it looks like Jordan Mailata had a holding call on the.
But the ref said that they clarified to the guys that that's not what they called.
Yeah. So then exactly. So speaking to Jordan afterwards, Jordan said like they asked, and no, it was on Dickerson, and Jordan said it's like the ref never saw an effing pancake in his life.
Waffle man,
the
French toast guy.
Jason Kelsey said this is a play you see sometimes where like the defensive player's on the ground, the offensive player has his hands up, and they're like conditioned almost to throw the flag there, but it was not a holding call on Landon Dickerson, and it was
a huge play in the game. It was a 4-point swing that could have given the Eagles, the lead after the AJ Brown touchdown. However, like the Eagles don't really have any like leg to stand on and keep complaining about the refs in this game, given their effort.
Yeah. So, but that call came up, and I did not get a chance to talk to Dickerson, but that call came up in the locker room after the game. I thought watching it, Mailata had a hold, but they did not call that on 68. They called it on 69. Elsewhere in the locker room, there was a lot of talks about how they can't panic, but they need to fix this. Jason Kelsey lamented missed assignments, communication, right? There were gaps in terms of, the penalties on offense. There was uncharacteristic, the pre-snap penalties. That's something that absolutely must be cleaned up. You had a different quarterback,
sloppy,
and you had a different right tackle, but there was one drive in the second half, was it, when they had 3 false starts on the drive? And that just kills you. It just kills you. So that jumps out. We discussed the blocking. Some of it, look, Cameron Jordan had 3 sacks. That's the side of the field that Lane Johnson would typically be in. I'm assuming that Cameron Jordan would not have 3 sacks if Lane Johnson was playing. Therefore, the Eagles missed Lane Johnson. All right. But I do think Minshew had something to do with it. And I'm not ready to say it's a big problem, but they do need Lane Johnson back. So that is something we will see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little troubling, just as a team, that they came out so flat. Aside from missing Jalen Hurts, that after last week when they're talking about this was a wake up call that we sort of needed, and then you come out in this game and you play like significantly worse and sloppier. That's not great. And in terms of like missed opportunities, it's a huge missed opportunity because you even if they are able to come out next week and win the game, and they're 14-point favorites now on the early line, because I think the expectation is the Giants are going to rest their good players. Even if you do that, you're probably forcing Jalen Hurts onto the field, making him take hits. Even if you win the game and you have a bye on the other side, you have guys like Brandon Graham, who we can talk about, and had a fun day, but played the most snaps that he's had to play in a game this season because Josh Sweat got hurt. He's a guy who could use a week off. You got all these like aging defensive players. Those guys could use the extra time. The offensive line, like you are inviting the possibility of more injury, and you're inviting the possibility of a loss and getting out of this without the number one seed. And boy, would that be just a total disaster.
I couldn't agree more. Like I could not agree more. This would be an utter collapse if they don't get the one seed, and they need it. They need to regroup. It would be problematic if they can't. This was the perfect chance, right? Like I mentioned it in the story. You said it on the top of the show. It was all set up for this to happen. That they played 3 games on the road. They lose last week in Dallas, but it's kind of like in the NBA Finals, when it's like 2-3-2 and you lose game 5, and you're like, all right, we'll win game 6 at home in front of our home crowd. And they had that opportunity to do that. And it just, for them to have this type of performance, this is bad. It was bad on the coaching staff. It was bad on the players. It's bad all around. I don't want to say things are going to get tight this week, but they do need, this is one of those things where you'll learn a lot about them by the way they come out on Sunday.
Let me ask you as a thought experiment. Mm-hmm. Let's say the Eagles win next week. Jalen Hurts comes back. Mm-hmm. They get the bye. And then in the divisional round, they lose at home to the Packers. Mm. How much would your 10,000-foot view feeling of the Eagles season and the relative success of their season change if that's the way that this goes down? Because like a week ago, even after the loss of the Cowboys, this season has been an unequivocal success, right? Yes. Like you have found your franchise quarterback.
Yes.
All these moves paid off. You were the best team in football for a long stretch. The stakes are probably, Super Bowl or bust, but you can feel very good about the health of the roster, like the state of the roster. Now, we've talked about for several reasons why that's not really the case, because there's a lot of change coming to this roster, but you feel good. You've got A.J. Brown, you've got Devontae Smith, you've got Jalen Hurts. We'll see what happens after that. The lines should still be good. You're rolling. But if they collapse to that degree, like you can't really feel that good about the season, right? Like, how do you feel about the coaching staff if that's the case?
Look, it's a great point, Bo, because if you told me before the season that they would be in the divisional round of the playoffs, I would say that's a success, right? Like that's improvement upon last year. And if you told me that they do it when Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate, I would say that's a complete success. But within the context of a season when they're 13-1, and it's a down year in the NFC, I don't think anyone can debate that. The second best team in the division is in the conference, and might be the best team in the conference, right? Is starting a 7th round rookie at quarterback. You talked about it on last week's show that the quarterbacks that Dak Prescott might be the best quarterback other than Hurts or along with Hurts in the postseason. You're not getting these on the NFC side. You're not getting these historic Rodgers Brady years. Like, this is a year that's set up for the Eagles to make some noise. If the Eagles don't win a playoff game under those circumstances, that's bad, right? That given the way they're playing, that is bad. But given my expectations,
do not come along. Yeah,
exactly. As the expression goes, opportunity is not a lengthy visitor. But given the way this season started or going into it, I would say this is, that would have been what I expected.
I think they need to win a playoff game.
Okay.
I think if they go out in the NFC Championship game, that's a disappointment, and it does feel like a missed opportunity. But at least you took a step.
Sure.
I think if they get to the NFC Championship game, I think you feel okay. But that doesn't. I mean, maybe that's not fair. Maybe you just feel crushed. But let's talk about the defense, Zach. So no Avonte Maddox in this game, obviously, and a little bit of curiosity about how the Eagles would approach that. They stick with Josiah Scott in the nickel, Reed Blankenship at safety. Josh Sweat goes down with a scary injury early on, and a pretty sullen scene. What was your view from the press box?
Yes, scary. I mean, whenever a stretcher comes out onto the field and they're kneeling around the player,
and they were driving off so slowly, that was a little bit.
And the whole sideline empties. That's scary. And knowing what Josh Sweat has kind of dealt with in his football life, this is not. I don't say this and like a smart alecky comment. I say this honestly. This is not the first time he's been rushed in an ambulance from a football game before, right? Yeah. When he was in high school, he almost lost his leg in a game. And then you think last year he has a chance to play in the playoffs, and he has internal bleeding, and it was a life-threatening situation, had to go to the hospital. And so, yeah, he's someone who has dealt with tragic events from a football perspective, or scary events from a football perspective, and certainly this is among them. You see, and I hate to frame it this way because every injury is significant, but you almost kind of differentiate, for lack of a better term, between a football injury, a sport injury, and an injury that is going to, potentially affect your life, right?
Sure.
And whenever you talk about the neck or the head, that's the case. So it's scary. So it was great for Josh Sweat to hear that he had movement in all his extremities, that he's being released from the hospital tonight, as you mentioned. I don't have anything as far as his football status as of now, but that's a great sign for Josh Sweat.
Mm-hmm. So there's a 15-play, 75-yard drive to open the game that lasts almost 9 minutes.
Bad drive.
And the Saints sort of set their tone that way, and they really moved the ball throughout the first half, despite only coming out with 13 points. But the defense settled down in the second half. As you said, they didn't allow any points to the offense in the second half. Several big third down stops in the second half. 6 sacks. Brandon Graham gets his 10th sack and then his 11th sack in the second half. So he gets double digits for the first time in his career, which he has talked a lot about. That gives the Eagles 4 players with double-digit sacks. That's the first time that has happened in NFL history. Hassan Reddick with 2 sacks. You had a Hassan Reddick take that you tweeted. What was it? What was that take, Zach?
Yeah, Hassan Reddick has 16 sacks this season, right? Which is he has 16 sacks in 16 games, which is absurd to think about. And he's an outstanding, exceptional edge rusher and one of the best free agents. We've said he's everything the Eagles could have wanted and more. But just if you think about the history of Eagles free agent signings, he's got to be one of the best. And I know it's the first year of a 3-year contract, but to get a 16 sack player on 3 years, $45 million, right? It was good evaluating by them. He's fitting what they're doing, and he's making a true difference, right? He has a unique. Oh, that's great to see.
Josh Sweat tweeted, "Thank you for your prayers and support. I'll be back this season." 2 minutes ago. So there you go.
There you go. So with Hassan Reddick, he's special coming around the edge, and I have the binoculars and I watch him on some rushes, and just the quickness that he has around there, it's rare. And I don't want to compare him to Von Miller, to Micah Parsons, but it's when you're talking about kind of like that 245-esque 245-pound esque edge rusher, and you're doing it with speed and quickness. He does it really well.
I was thinking about this, and the way you describe Hassan Reddick as one of the best free agent signings in franchise history. I think this is one thing that we maybe don't give Howie Roseman enough credit for. The league-wide hit rate of like big money free agent signings is not great.
Yeah.
And Howie Roseman's track record of like big money signings from other teams is actually very good. Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave turned out very well. Malcolm Jenkins before him, Connor Barwin before him. I think that's maybe one thing that we don't give him enough credit for, because the draft is a crapshoot. It's going to be a sporadic track record for everybody. The trade history we've talked about. Obviously, he blew the Ryan Bates trade enormously. What's the guy's name?
Eli Harold.
No, not Eli. No, the other one.
Kerry Vincent Jr.
Kerry Vincent Jr. I mean, that's a fireable offense for some people, but in terms of like where you're putting your big money, those are like impactful bets that you're making, and he's done a very good job. Like there have not been really that I can think of free agent busts that were his signings. You can go to Byron Maxwell,
honestly,
and DeMarco Murray.
No, the free agent busts, if you will, in terms of the big money ones, and this was technically a trade, but I view it as a free agent signing. It was Deshaun in 2019, right? And that
wasn't a lot of money though.
That was relative to but even like his Alshon signing was good.
Alshon, that's a good example.
So it's usually these players that we're mentioning. It's a
Nnamdi. Yeah, you have to go all the way back to Nnamdi for like a big.
It's a certain profile of player, right? That you're looking
Brandon
at.
Brandon Brooks, somebody brings up in the comments.
Yep, there you go. That's a great one.
The big bets that he's made have all worked out very well.
I mean, typically it's someone who just finished their rookie contract, or in the case of Alshon and in Hassan Reddick, they were entering their 6th year, not their 5th year, right? But for the most part, you're looking at players between the ages of 25 and 27 who are entering years 5 or 6 in the NFL. And I just bring up Deshaun because that was atypical of their profile then, and that was one of those things where you're chasing something. But yeah, Howie does a really good job at identifying. And I keep saying, I keep seeing different names in here. Rodney McLeod would fit the type of player we're talking about here. Patrick Robinson would not.
No,
Garrett
we're not talking about.
Not. We're not talking about the
dart throws.
Exactly. The 1-year deals. We're talking about the first day, second day of free agency. We're targeting this player, signing him to a lucrative contract, and he's a really good hit rate. It's a good question, and it's probably worth exploring. It's a good topic to explore in March.
There you go. I thought that Brandon Graham was very active in this game. Along with Hassan Reddick. Fletcher Cox had a big sack, and I thought he looked pretty good. The defense was good after the first, quarter and a half. It seemed like Josiah Scott had an interception. They did really make Andy Dalton look super comfortable early in the game with that soft zone. I think you're okay to be upset about that. The way that they came out in this game, you would like a little bit more aggression to start, but it is hard to argue with the performance as a whole.
Yes.
Linebackers did not look good in this game.
I know.
At first watch.
I saw my timeline today was full of Gannon's horrible. And I'm not making this a Gannon defense. I'll say what I said at the top of the show. The first drive was really bad. Okay. After that, I know you can't take away the first drive of the game. It happened. It was a 15-play drive. Took off more than 8 minutes of the clock. Nearly 9. I get all that. After that, punt, field goal, interception, punt, and then end.
But this is a bad offense, though.
Sure, but even if it's a bad offense, they held them to 13 points, and they basically, one of those field goals, the drive started at the 42-yard line. Not to excuse it, right? But outside of that first drive, which was really bad, I get all that. The defense did exactly what you could have wanted them to do. Holding a team to 13 points, forcing them to punt 6 times. You get a takeaway. You get 7 sacks. Like these are come on.
I think that's fair.
The starting field position that the Eagles had was, the Eagles started a drive on the 41-yard line. They started, actually the starting field.
They did their job.
Yeah, they did their job. And I thought,
except for your boy James Bradbury. What happened on that play?
I got to go back and I haven't gone back and watched it yet.
Got dusted.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if it was.
Is that the first time that's happened this year where he's gotten beat deep like that? I can't.
Yeah, so I
don't
know why. So here I'm curious. I see Jason in the chat says fire Gannon tomorrow. I'm not.
Who's Gannon tomorrow?
I'm not singling you out, Jason, as much as I've heard this comment before. I see the next comment. Here comes the Gannon defense. The guy's the ultimate snake oil salesman. They allowed 13 points. They had 7 sacks. By the way, they've set the franchise record for sacks. They could set the NFL. It is conceivable with a big game next week that they would set the NFL record for sacks. But no team in franchise history has had this many sacks. They're the first team in NFL history to have 4 players with double-digit sacks.
Okay, if I can play a little bit of devil's advocate here.
I'm sure
First of all, don't give me the sack record next week if it takes 17 weeks. Like that doesn't matter.
Okay, are you the baseball commissioner from 1961 here, where you're putting like the asterisks next to Roger Maris?
Yes, I think. When AJ Brown gets 9 receiving yards next week to top Mike Quick, that doesn't really count to me.
Well, did Mike Quick break the record of someone who had a 14-game season?
Maybe,
or 12-game season?
Maybe.
Right?
But I'm allowed to say it doesn't count. But more importantly, the sack record, Jonathan Gannon, we can disagree about like the level of credit he gets for that, but he does not get the lion's share of credit for that. That is a Howie Roseman stat. That is you like Hassan
So
Reddick.
He gets the blame last year for being 31st in the league in sacks, but he doesn't get the credit for setting a franchise record in sacks.
Yes, because what's the difference? The players are better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think if I'm giving
out turkeys on who deserves the credit for them having so many sacks between Howie Roseman, the players themselves, and Jonathan Gannon, I mean, Jonathan Gannon's getting like 3 turkeys.
It kind of bewilders me that on an afternoon when the Eagles did not have a first down on offense until the final, they did not move the chains until the final minute of the second half, right? On an afternoon when that happens, the sentiment that we're getting is they need to fire Jonathan Gannon.
Well, it's 2 people. One guy said it in the comment. You're the one who's focused on it. How much credit do you think Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen deserve for this offensive game plan?
A lot. They deserve the credit when it goes well, and they deserve the blame when it goes bad. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, did you have any gripes with the game plan?
Oh, you mean
itself?
Today specifically?
I mean today's game plan.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant on the offensive success this year. No, I thought they could have run the ball more, like I said. Excuse me 1 second. I thought they could have run the ball more. Like I
he's
said.
worried. He's worried that mug got caught on camera. Marissa, would you like to explain why Zach is nervous right now?
No,
Marissa, we are all friends here. We are all family. Please explain why Zach is upset.
Come on.
I can't do it.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thank
you. Let's get back to the task on hand.
He's already nervous about it.
Zach has millions of followers on Instagram.
I actually don't.
So
I don't.
Marissa?
All right, so the offensive game plan today, they could have run the ball more. They should have run the ball more. I thought Miles Sanders, even playing with a knee injury, showed some juice. But I thought that I thought that the passing game itself.
You are the big mug expert.
They should have targeted Devontae Smith.
You are the expert on oversized.
Come on, we are doing
drinking receptacles
podcast here. We're doing a podcast.
This is your lane.
Bo, come on. Come on. Let's keep on the task at hand. I do want to give a shout out, by the way, to
Zach,
the
you look
McHughes.
thirsty.
I want to give a shout out to the McHughes brothers who listen to the show, who play Swooper along with us. And I met them before the game and, signed a book and talked to ODU football. I said I would put ODU into the pod somehow tonight. I was going to mention how when Jack Driscoll started at UMass at left tackle, he was starting against ODU, but there was no organic way to mention it. But I do want to give them a shout out.
Okay. Marissa?
I plead the fifth.
All right.
Thank you, Marissa.
All right, let's take a little break.
Yep.
Come back, wrap up Swooper, and figure out what it is that Zach's trying to hide.
You can tell when you're using a cheap razor based on the nicks and the cuts and the irritation. And then there's the annoyance of subscription razors when you're waiting for the cartridges to arrive or you can't believe how much you just spent on them. That's why you must meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the International Space Station and Mars rover, and now they are bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades are like diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble. The more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave isn't a blade problem, it's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches. That's less than the thickness of a human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. And it gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades. The Henson razor works with standard dual-edge blades to give you that old-school shave with the benefits of new-school tech. Once you own a Henson razor, it's only $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. I'll admit that affordability is attractive to me. Only $5 a year in blades, that's a good sale right there. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/birds to pick the razor for you and use code BIRDS and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/birds and use code BIRDS. I need to admit that I always look forward to a good steak dinner, but I can't always go out and have a steak dinner. Then a package arrived at my door one day, and it was from Omaha Steaks, and I had that excitement I would have when I go to a great steakhouse. You can have that too, and you can gift that as well. Gift the best with the best steaks of your life from Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher since 1917. Perfectly aged, tender, unforgettable, and guaranteed delicious. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have put together an assortment of various packages to make shopping for the ones you love nice and easy. Go to omahasteaks.com and use code BIRDS at checkout to get an additional $30 off your order. Send an assortment of mouth-watering favorites guaranteed to impress, like the legendary Butcher's Cut Filet Mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken, ultra-juicy burgers, and even easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away. Head to omahasteaks.com and use promo code BIRDS at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use promo code BIRDS at checkout to get that extra $30 off your order. Minimum order may be required.
All right. Back on Birds with Friends. Hey, Zach, was there ever an explanation from Nick Sirianni about why Miles Sanders was like out of the game for a while?
No, that did not come up. I imagine we'll get some more clarity. He did have a knee injury, so I don't know if they were managing his snaps, but his usage did not come up in the post-game press conference.
Okay. Let's get to Swooper. I entered with 9 points, Zach with 4, Marissa with 2, and then we had a fourth bidder this week, Shael Capadilla, and he was playing in order to rob me of a turkey. Zach, there is a 23-yard gain on a play by either team during the game. Did not happen. And then you had the Eagles clinch the number 1 seed. Obviously, that did not happen, but you will keep that one for next week if it does happen. So you got one in the holster. Marissa, you had your holdover. Brandon Graham reaches double-digit sacks for the season. 1 point for you. Andy Dalton has more turnovers than Gardner Minshew. If Minshew had not thrown that pick six,
yeah.
You were looking good, looking for a 2-pointer. Unfortunately, did not happen. 1 for you. Bo, the Saints score 15 or fewer points. Again, Minshew screws me over, just like he screws you over.
I'm very glad we clarified that, too.
That was not the offense, right? We did.
Yeah.
We went out of our way to clarify that. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith combined for more receiving yards than Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith combined for 218 yards in this game. We didn't really talk about that very much. A.J. Brown had 4 for 97. That's 78-yard touchdown in which he sort of muscled away at the catch point and then ran past the defense. Devontae Smith, 9 catches for 115, sort of a quiet 9 for 115, it felt like. But the Ohio State duo had 218. What did I said it was 212 for the Eagles guys, and it was 218 for Ohio State.
That's a great swooper.
It was a good line. Good line by Zach.
Good one, Zach.
A former Saint touches the ball on a touchdown play. Of course, Ian Book threw that touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, so that's 1 for me. Nick Sirianni gets a Gatorade bath.
I was going to say, what game were you watching?
Did not happen. The Eagles starting quarterback throws for more passing yards than Max Duggan does against Michigan. That did happen, so that's 1 for me. I tie Marissa. We go to Capadilla. He had the Eagles commit a number of turnovers less than or equal to the second highest bidder for this item. That was 2. Eagles committed 1 turnover. He gets it. Gardner Minshew has fewer throwaways than the winning bid for this item, which was 10. That hits. And then the Eagles defense has more sacks than the vaunted Georgia defense does against Ohio State. That also hit.
He's
so
good.
Goes 3 for 3, and I am down to 8. This is better for you guys than even a win.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I was very upset when he Gardner Minshew had that turnover, and I was going to lose that point. But then once I realized Shield won, I'm like, this is actually better. So, shout out to Shield.
There you go. Now, somebody in the chat says that Tarico just said on the broadcast that the Week 18 schedule won't be announced till tomorrow. That feels insane.
So I think a lot is going to depend on the Steelers game too. I think if the Steelers
that puts teams at a disadvantage.
These coaching staffs that are such creatures of habit, they have to like flip the switch to make it a Saturday game tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they know.
You would have off tomorrow.
I'm sure it's dependent on the result, and so they know to some degree.
If they tell the team,
there's got to be some kind of heads up. But yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, knowing the way Nick Sirianni views like the pace of the week for a Saturday game, that would flummox him to no end.
Ooh, good use of flummox. Sirianni looked too well rested this week relative to the rest of the season, didn't you think? Like he was a little bit buoyant on a few days this week. Was in a good mood. You know, that hasn't been the case.
You want him to be crusty?
His best games have been when he looks like, why have you not gotten any sleep this week, Nick? It's Thursday, but then they come out and play well.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but that's an interesting point. It reminds me of Doug Peterson the other night went 7. He's now 7-0 on Thursday games, and he mentioned how his wife said to him he can put a perfect game plan together in one day for a Thursday game. Why can't he do that for a full week for a Sunday game? And yeah, it's something to think about. Maybe these guys work harder than they need to.
Maybe. All right, Zach, what else should we talk about here? Did you want to come clean on the thing you were doing earlier?
This was also bad for the Eagles draft pick. You know, they had a chance to push the Saints back and or push the Saints up rather. And rather, they
actually right now still at 10, which is what it was
10?
entering the day.
What would it have been had they lost? Had the Saints lost?
I think it actually still would have been a 10.
Oh, okay. All right. So then it wasn't unaffected. That surprises me. I would think there's other 7-win teams.
Yeah, they have the best strength of schedule of the 3 teams who are 6-10, but the worst of the teams who are 7 of the 4 teams who are 7-9.
Okay,
kind of weird.
Yeah. I thought we touched on it with the defense. I didn't think it was a great Covey day. I think there was a fair catch that he probably would have wanted to return, but Brett Kern.
One of the worst punts we've seen in a while.
And by the way, credit to Professor Selman here too. There could be some interesting roster gymnastics to come because the Eagles have no more elevations to go for Kern, but there's unlimited elevations during the postseason.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what he said. I would need to. I see Marissa nodding her head, so I'm assuming that's accurate.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. That's interesting, though.
So in that case, what he said is that the Eagles could just sign a random punter to the practice squad for Week 18 and then bring Kern back for the playoffs. But they're going to have they're going to have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to take off of IR. Robert Quinn's going to have to come off IR. So they're going to have to open up.
They might need him now, depending on Sweat's.
Yeah,
status,
and then they got to figure out what they're doing with Avante. I imagine they're going to keep Avante on the active roster, but so there's a lot of different roster things to look at for this final week.
All right, what do we got in the private chat here?
We have something in the private chat. I don't see it.
Oh, this is from earlier. I don't see it now.
Okay. I was apologizing for my microphone, correct? Okay.
Yeah. And it says here you wanted to come clean on what that other thing was?
It's not I'll simply say that this
is a classic case of you making a bigger deal out of something that does not.
I feel like
you're making a bigger deal than you have to. So I'll give it in 10 seconds, okay? I had a 40 or a 50-ounce water bottle that whenever I brought it into the car, it would leak because it didn't fit into the cup holder. My wife.
Wait, so why did it leak?
Why did it leak? It the cap. Oh, and it was on my seat, and the cap would unscrew, or it was sideways. I
don't understand the connection between it not fitting in the cup holder and it leaking.
I will show you the water bottle, and you would understand. Okay.
Is it one of those water bottles with a hole at the bottom?
No, it's not. But so she wanted me to get one that fits into my cup holder. And, so there was one that she suggested, and it turned out, as Marissa said, that it was a trendier water bottle than I need. I just need.
But what do you mean then you need? This is such nonsense. What?
I just need a 40 or 50 ounce water bottle because I need to drink 100 ounces a day. Okay. And I don't want to keep refilling it. So I need a 40 or 50 ounce water bottle that I can take with me to work. And so therefore put it in the cup holder. And I don't need anything that is fancy. That's the only thing.
But what's wrong with it if that's the effective thing?
I'm going to take the blame for this because when Zach first took a sip, I said, this was a few days ago. I said, oh, wow, Zach, influencer. You got one of those cool new mugs. And Zach didn't know this, And so then I made him self-conscious over the mug. So I apologize for that, Zach.
And then you said you need to return it. You don't need to return it
when he found out that it was this trendy new mug. And then he's on the pod taking a sip, barely showing his face on screen.
So
I'm gonna take the blame for it. All I was trying to say was Zach is super cool.
He's a hip guy.
Yeah, he's a hip dad. That's all I was trying to get at. I didn't want him to be self-conscious over his mug. So.
But Marissa, what I appreciate
and
also
then of course it turned
you.
Into this whole bit.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that you just wanted to keep going with the show, and Bo had to keep bringing it back.
No, she wanted to get into it.
I didn't want to blow up Zach's spot because he already said he was going to return it. I didn't want him to return it. He needs his water.
This is a psychoanalysis aspect of your personality that I do not understand.
All right,
you already have the thing. You want to get rid of it because it's popular?
We could say this for another show. But I would say to our listeners, make sure you're hydrating. 100 ounces of water a day. It's good for you.
Now that is also not necessarily true. Like there's a whole thing about the pseudoscience of big water not really necessarily being true.
Really?
Yes.
I drink a lot of water a day, Zach.
Yeah.
Like it's good to drink water, but like the
no, a lot of times when you
level is
a lot of times when you think you're hungry,
true.
A lot of times when you think you're hungry, you're actually just thirsty, and that if you drink
or you're high.
No. All right. I think we should wrap this up. We have some important shows this week. This is turning into a consequential week, right? So there's gonna be a lot to discuss. The Eagles will have Sirianni tomorrow. They'll be back at practice on Wednesday, and there'll be a Jalen Hurts update to come.
Big week coming up for the Eagles. Let's see if they can turn things around, or we're going to be on a sinking ship here, Zach. Who would have thought? I mean, there's a chance we might have to be going somewhere.
They'll at least have a home game, right?
Going to Tampa Bay. No. If they lose next week,
they lose next week, and the Cowboys win,
and the Cowboys win.
But
we're
even
going
the
to
Vikings
Tampa.
losing today.
No, because it'd be the NFC
lose the division.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that would be.
Wow. So that would be really bad if they don't even get a home game.
Well, for my wife, it would be.
Years.
Exactly. I wouldn't find it horrible to go to Tampa Bay, but.
What would you say if you returned the water bottle? What would be your reason for returning it?
No longer needed. The Amazon thing.
No longer needed. I'd used it once. I'm good.
Yeah. When you return something for Amazon, you fill it out. You just put no longer needed. Isn't it? Am I wrong to do that?
We got a comment in the chat that said if you're an influencer like Zach, you can sell it for more than you paid for it, which honestly is probably true because these mugs are so popular right now. I know at Christmas, everybody wanted one. So Zach, if you sold it before Christmas, you might have made a profit. Could have filled that mug with money.
I'd be happy to turn it into something on Charlie Munger's birthday nonetheless, right? You can...
Maybe
there's a guy who's got his finger on the pulse. There's a real influencer. All right. I guess that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. A Stinko de Mayo for the Eagles. An unhappy flu year. Bad job. We'll see how they can respond. Could be fine. Could be not. We'll have it covered this week. Probably 2 episodes ahead of us. So for Zach, Marissa, and influencers everywhere, the Eagles are 13-3. Gardner Minshew has a bad game. The offense stinks. We'll see if they can right the ship against a Giants team that has nothing to play for in Week 18. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Tuesday or Wednesday. And as always, we love you.